So the first place you're going to start when you are creating your living thing artwork is to do a light pencil line onto the page. So you've made your choices of the subject matter you're going to use, anything that's a living thing. You want to keep it simple so that it's not too intricate and too involved. You want to focus on really applying some of the oil techniques that we practice. So you want to have fairly simple starting point for whatever the living thing that you've chosen. Now you can be working in your sketchbook or you can be working on the page from the art kit. So you're making that choice based on the reasons that you'll see in the assignment. You can review those if you're not sure, haven't made that choice yet. So after doing a light pencil line of just a layout of where things are going to fall in your drawing, you don't want to spend too much time on the pencil line outline. You're going to get in there and start with the background of your artwork. And I'm showing you here, this is not a sped up version of, I've slowed it down just for this part here to show you sort of how long it takes to be applying the pastel. You'll see in this video that it is all sped up and you're going to watch it very quickly, but the amount of time that I spend doing it is significantly longer than just the few minutes in this video. So I wanted you to see just one little part there where you see the actual real time. Okay, so I'm doing the scrumbling technique here first. You're going to do a minimum of 6 of the techniques that we've practiced out of the 10 into your artwork. If you have more, that's fantastic. If you have more than the 6, but a minimum of 6 of the techniques you're going to use. And so I'm doing the scrumbling here, and as with any artwork that you're working with color, it's about layering and it's about building up that color. So we practiced that when you did your color wheel. You were laying the color down and then layering over top of that and building up the color. The same thing when you're working with oil pastels. It's not just about laying down the first one layer of color and then it's done. You're going to keep working and reworking it here. So this is the scrumbling technique where I'm applying the pastel in a circular motion, and then I will be adding more layers over top of that. So you can see here now I am adding in some other colors. So I'm thinking about the color wheel. I'm thinking what colors are going to mix and blend. And I'm layering, no longer am I just using that one color of oil pastel, of that sort of yellowish brown color. I'm adding in that sort of red-brown color and also a bright yellow. I'm also adding in some white into it at this point, and I'm working on doing a nice fade and blending of that color. I've also got a little bit of black into the bottom there, so remember that white and black are always your friend and you want to be using them at all times. And now I'm going over top again and just making sure that I'm getting a nice blend and a nice mix of those colors together. Still working in that scrumbling motion, so still working in that circular motion for my background, but I am just now working on mixing those colors. That's now technique number 2 for me for my artwork so far. So one of the requirements of this assignment is that you are sending me a photo of your artwork at, I would say 2 times would be best, of your artwork while you're working on it to get some feedback. And I will give you some feedback and give you some help, and it will make sure that you're on the right track. It will make sure that you are using the techniques that we've been practicing. If you're struggling in some places, I'm always happy to give you some advice. I'm going to tell you the things that you're already doing that are awesome, and the things that you're doing well. And feedback is important for you to improve, for you to work on those refinements and those details to be getting better. So that's one thing that you're going to be doing, is sending me an image. And so here you can see now I'm working on the beetle, using lots of black and lots of white and mixing those in with the colors. So those are 2 of the other techniques in our from our technique page. As I get to it here, you'll see that I'll be doing some stipple on the beetle, and I'll also, which is those short, almost dot marks. I'm also going to be using this graffito technique. So I'm taking a toothpick and I'm scratching into it to create some texture within the beetle. So then it becomes, as you're working on it now, using those techniques that are going to be useful for you, and finding ways to recreate the texture in whatever it is you happen to be drawing. You'll see as we move forward, I'm also going to be using oil on a Q-tip for a number of the areas, because I want a smooth texture in some areas of it, and that will help me to create that smooth texture. So that's another one of our techniques. And so, now it just becomes about building up those layers, building up the textures, and each time you add more to it, you're working in finer details. So for this artwork, there's 3 areas from our curriculum that we are evaluating. So the first one that we're evaluating is your application of the techniques that you have practiced and then applied. So minimum of 6 of those techniques, and basically the effectiveness that you have used them within the artwork is one of the evaluation outcomes for this project. The other thing that we are evaluating is the sort of your ability to problem solve, work through the challenges, and create a finished and polished artwork. So the artwork needs to be done, it needs to be finished, and you've worked through struggles along the way. The last part of the evaluation is what you can see I'm doing here now, is I am labeling on my artwork the different techniques that I've used. So I'm explaining, or I'm writing each of the techniques that I used and where I've used it in the artwork. You can do that in a few different ways. You can do it as I've written it right on the page here. You can do it, you can take a photo of your artwork, and then you can use an app to write text over top. And the third way is you can do it on a separate page. So you can write it in a Word document, or just handwritten on a page that you take a photograph of, and you're going to write the techniques that you've used, and then you would also write exactly where you've used them in your artwork. And that's it. And then you'd submit to the teams.